Sounding professional doesn't always have to be expensive. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can take any microphone, whether you're using a GoXLR, a mixer, or no mixer at all, and sound professional. Let's get it. Yo, what's the deal? My name is Joshua and I'm here to help you grow and elevate your live stream and gaming experience. So if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that notification bell and subscribing because you don't want to miss any of the valuable content coming up ahead. But if you're returning, thanks for coming back. Glad that you're here. But if you have any questions about this video, because we're going to be going over a lot of information, drop a comment down below or hit me up on Twitch. I do stream pretty regularly and I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. So enough of me, let's get to this so that you can start sounding good. So like I said in the intro, this can be done with any microphone, whether you have a GoXLR, no mixer, or a mixer. The same rules apply. So what we're going to be doing is making an effects chain. What an effects chain is going to be, you got your noise gate first, you have your equalizer second, and next you're going to have your compressor, and after that you're going to have your final gain or makeup gain. So the same rules are going to apply if you have the GoXLR, a mixer, no mixer. So for you GoXLR guys, just go ahead and wait just a second because I got to make sure that these other guys here know what settings to do. It's very easy for the GoXLR, that's why I love it, but everyone else, you're not left out. So go ahead and open up your OBS. I'm going to open it up right here. And this is where you're going to be. You're going to want to go to your audio input capture. We're going to right click that. We're going to press filters. And when we press filters, we're going to have audio filters. Now I've already put these in here, but yours is going to be blank. What you're going to do is you're going to go down to this plus sign. You're going to hit, again, the first one's going to be noise gate. Go ahead and get that. And then you're going to have your noise gate settings here. The next thing, we're going to install a VST plugin. I've dropped the link down below so that you can download this. This is going to be a Reaper plugin. For this one, we're going to be using the EQ. Now just go ahead and click the EQ and then now you have it. One of the things on here is that the EQ is going to be, I believe, a 4 or 3 band. We're going to need to add an additional 7 because we need 10 bands on here. As you can see, I already have them and I also have them in the appropriate spot. So we're just going to add a band and then there you have it. You can move it around and you can put it at the certain frequency that needs to be. But to make it easy, just go ahead and click here, put a number, and then it can go. Now, in order to get these numbers, we're going to wait a little bit longer towards the middle of the video as we start talking about the actual equalization. And those will be the frequencies that you would input here. So now after this, we have to make sure we get our compressor and we can go ahead again, press the plus sign, hit compressor, and it will be here. These are the main settings that we will have to be able to make you sound really good. The same thing applies whenever you do have the GoXLR, and the same thing applies if you have a mixer. Now, depending on what soundboard you have, you might have a compressor on there already. If not, you can go ahead and add one right here. You might not have a noise gate. You want to make sure to put the noise gate there, but whatever is appropriate and you're missing, go ahead and add this here. So here is the GoXLR settings. We do have the processing chain. We got the gate, we have the equalizer, and we have the compressor. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all processing on my microphone and I'm gonna put some headphones on so that I can go ahead and hear, but I want you to hear it real time as I explain so you can see how everything kind of works together. So let me go ahead and do that. So now I have removed the noise gate, I have flattened out the equalizer, and the compressor is off as well as the de-esser. We'll get to the de-esser a little bit later for you guys that don't have a GoXLR. But guys, if you have a GoXLR, the first thing you guys need to do is hit this mic setup and you want to start talking. And so it's right in the middle, close to the high end of good. And also it's important to note that if you have a dynamic microphone, click dynamic, condenser microphone, click dynamic. And if you got just like a regular mic, the 3.5 headphone jack, go ahead and do that. But as I'm talking, you can see it's sometimes getting loud, but it's not getting red. I like to have it right there. And just adjust your gain like this. If you go a little bit too loud, it's gonna give some bad effect, but we'll go ahead and lower it like that. So I'm right on the middle of good to the high end of good. So now that is done, first thing again is doing the noise gate. So we're going to hit the threshold, and this points in decibels at which the gate will open. So whenever the decibel that I'm talking over that's when the noise gate will start. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the attenuation. This is the reduction of force or effect being used on something. So it's very important to start out with this at 100% so that we can make sure the full effect is being processed onto our microphone. So I'll go ahead and put that up. Now, nothing really changed because I don't have my threshold, attack, or release working right now. So I am going to raise the threshold up until I hear it cutting me out. When I start hearing it cut my voice out just at a normal talking, I'm going to go ahead and lower it around 5 to 10 decibels. I'm just going to be talking, and as soon as I hear my, yep, right there, I started cutting out. So now the noise gate is taking effect. So now you're not hearing any like background noise or anything like that. The noise gate is working 100% because we set the attenuation up. So now we can move on over to the attenuation. Again, this is the amount of force of the gate you want to be used. So if I lower it to 75, that means 75% of the noise gate is going to be being used. And I actually need to raise the release. I'll get to that a little bit later and explain why. The attenuation is 77 or 80% being used right now. I actually like to have it like this because it has a very natural noise gate to it. It's not super abrupt. However, if you're in a very noisy environment, you want to make sure that the gate is all the way. So turn the attenuation all the way to 100%. But again, if you want something natural, you can go ahead and have it at the 80. I'm going to have it right here at the 75 just because that's what I like. I like a little bit of the airiness. So now the attack is going to be when you want the noise gate to start. I highly recommend having it start at 10 milliseconds because the moment you start talking over your threshold, it's going to kick in. So you want it to kick in as fast as possible. So we're going to go ahead and have that lower at the 10 milliseconds. Now, if I raise this, guys, and I'm talking like this, you can see that the noise gate comes in later. Like I'm talking and then it comes on. You don't want that going on. Go ahead and have this at the 10 milliseconds. And release is relative to attack. Release is going to be when you want it to stop. So it's very similar in the sense of the timing. Now, when I stop talking, it's when the noise gate is going to stop or release. Right now, I hear a lot of air after I'm talking. So I want to remove that. So also, if you're like in a noisy environment, you're going to want to keep this very close as well. So the gate is literally like a gate, the attack and the release. So anything that comes starts, and then anything that stops, like keeps all your words within this parameter. So I'm going to keep it right there. But for everyday talking, you guys will be good around the 150 to 200 range on that. Now that the noise gate is pretty much taken care of, we're going to move on over to the equalizer. And you guys that don't have the GoXLR, this is whenever you're going to get the VST plugin, do your 10 band, and you're going to do these hertz right here. You're going to do 31, 63, 125, all the way to the 16K, and then you'll be able to adjust the same way that I'm doing right now. That's why I like the GoXLR, because it has this. It's very easy. Yes, it does cost a little bit, but you don't have to have the GoXLR to sound good. So we're going to cut frequencies before anything. And then after, if needed, depending on your microphone, you can boost the frequencies around that you need, but you always want to cut before. Also, it's very important as well to know the microphone you have. Now, I have a Perception 420. This microphone is a very neutral microphone, so it's very flat baseline along the frequency ranges. Now, if you have like an SM7B, it's a very dark microphone and very rich on the bassy side. You don't want to boost it too much more there. You would more or less boost up the high end on that. Now, if you also have like an AT2020 microphone, that microphone is very sibilant. It is very on the high end. So in order to get that microphone sounding good, you don't really want to give it any more highs. You would rather just boost up some of the lows. So after I show you the frequency ranges on how they act, I'm going to do pretty much baseline depending on if you have a very low end microphone or a very high end microphone. But if you have a baseline microphone, it is good to use what I'm about to do right now. Getting into the actual equalizer, let's start off with the 31 hertz. This is going to be where a lot of frequencies actually lose their tone. And as I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and move these up and down so you can hear the difference. This one really doesn't have a lot of difference. What this frequency is more of a felt frequency rather than a heard. So like if you have like an air condition that is just rumbling, you'll get that rumble through this. So I would recommend lowering this down if you have that issue with any type of rumble. Again, it's more felt than actually heard, but I just keep this at 0. But depending on your environment, you can play with that. Now we get to the 63 hertz and the 125. This is going to be your true low end. I don't need any more low end on my voice, so I'm not going to change it. As you can hear, my voice gets a lot lower, but also keep in mind to never really go more than 4 decibels because it can get super overbearing quickly. And you want to be considerate to your viewers' ears. If something is way too much, they're going to get annoyed and then not stay in your stream. Now, the 250 to 500 hertz range is where things can get very boxy. If I raise this, it literally sounds like I got a cardboard box over my head. And you don't really want that. I'm not adding anything to this at all. I'm actually going to take some out, but I don't want to take too much out because then I kind of just in the back. I know for my voice, -2 and a -4 for myself is a very good sound for myself. Now getting into the 1000 and 4000 hertz range right here, this is where a lot of your voice presence lies. Now if you start raising stuff, you can start to sound like very nasally. It doesn't really sound too good, so you don't want to do too much of that. But also if you start to lower anything down here, you start to like get very muffled. You pretty much are non-existent. So you got to find that sweet spot in your voice. For me, I'm actually going to remove this for check 1 2, check 1 2. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much there. So I'm going to go ahead and have it there. So now getting to the 8K, this is going to be your frequency range. And actually 4K kind of lies in the mids as well as the highs. So you can use the 1000 to the 4000 for your mids, and you can also use the 4K to your 8000 as the highs. So the 4K is kind of in that little medium. This is where things can get very hissy, and you can still get a little bit very drowned out as well. You don't want to add too much to this. Also, this is where like the sibilance gets, like if I'm like you can get all those S's right here in this range. So you got to be careful with that. But if you're not getting the S's just right, you can go ahead and raise it, or you can go ahead and lower it. But at the same time, if you don't have these, things can start to get very undefined, get very lost as well. So I'm already to the point where I feel like I've cut a lot. And yes, I said you want to cut before boosting, but at this point, I actually know that I need to have more highs right here. And I'm actually going to bring some more presence in my voice right here with the 8K. And it actually brought a lot more to my voice. It balanced everything. My voice this whole time was very not sounding good. I don't like how it sounds good, but it's going to sound a whole lot better at the end of this. Now 16K, this is just like the 31 hertz. It's the same thing, but on the opposite spectrum. This is the very high end, but I also know that this has more an effect rather than this one. So I actually raise this up and it kind of like balances out my voice, but I don't want to put too much. So I'm actually going to lower it right there. So with all of this, I feel like my voice has come a long way. It's about to get a whole lot better. You guys work with this. I will drop the templates right now so you can go ahead and get a baseline, and then we'll move on over to the compressor side. So moving on over to the compressor, we have the same things pretty much like the noise gate. We've got the threshold, we have the attack, we also have the release. But as you can see, we do have a ratio and we have makeup gain. Makeup gain is going to be at the end of everything because as we compress, volume drops. So we need to pick it back up. So the threshold, try not to have this too low because then you're going to sound over compressed, and also you're going to lose a lot of dynamics. So if I have this like right there, everything's going to sound like one volume, no matter if I'm talking low or if I'm talking quiet. And around a good 20 to 15 range is good. Kind of just test it out and see how that works out for you. Now ratio might sound confusing. 2 to 1, for example, this means the output will have half of the dynamics as the input. So the lower the ratio, the more dynamics you're going to have. And the higher you go, the less dynamics you're going to have. I run a 4 to 1 ratio. It's what I like. And a lot of other people run it like that as well. So you can't go wrong here, but if you want a little bit more dynamics, I would say anything lower, like a 2 to 1, you can even go to like a 1.1 to 1. Now going on over to attack, that is exactly the same attack terminology as we use over here in the noise gate. So when you want the compressor to kick in, so if you scream abruptly and you're like always raging or something, you can go ahead and have this pretty low so that it can kick in like right when you scream. But if you want something a little bit more natural, I would say around the 10 millisecond is going to be sounding natural. You don't want it to sound compressed. You just need the compression to work. And the release is, when do you want it to stop? At the end of your sentence, of course, just like the noise gate. So I actually have this around the 100 milliseconds. You'll be fine there as well. So now that we've actually compressed this, we need to turn the volume up because we've just dropped a lot of decibel in volume. So I'm going to raise this up, but I don't want to do it too much. I also like to refer, for the most part, let me pull this over. On this makeup gain side, I look at this. I like to be right kind of touching the red. Yeah, here we are. This is exactly where I want to be whenever I'm talking, right here at that -10. So that is what the makeup gain does. So I've actually raised it 11 decibels. So yeah, you always want to reference the audio bar because it tells you like what your volume actually is. So now the last thing to do is the de-esser. So I'm going to raise this. So now this is my EQ. But also one thing to note is the higher you take it, the more muffled you're going to sound. So keep that in mind as well, guys, whenever you are messing with the de-esser. Now, for you guys that don't have a de-esser, what you're going to want to do is you want to mess with the frequencies around the 16 and 8K. I am going to show you a before and after, and you'll be like, oh, wow. So yeah, this is my voice without a noise gate, without an equalizer, and without compressor or de-esser. Check, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is no effects on my voice at all. This is my voice on the EQ that we just did. I have my noise gate, I have the equalizer, and I also have the compressor. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is how you can sound very professional with just a noise gate, an EQ, and a compressor. It's very easy. So guys, if you have any questions, please drop them down below. But if you want to hang out, hit me up on Twitch. I'll be there. I can answer any questions as well. So if you found value in this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Turn the notification bell on because you don't want to miss anything else that is coming up. So in the meantime, guys, you game up and you stream up. Peace.